Okay, Wildcat, say we're looking at 5. The root of the problem, solving quadratic equations. Warm up. Use the distributive property to determine each product. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to use the FOIL method to multiply. So x times x is x squared. X times 2 is plus 2x. 1 times x is plus 1x. 1 times 2 is plus 2. Combine the middle term, so that's x squared plus 3x plus 2. All right, now we did FOIL, but now let's use box method. All right, so we have 2x minus 3, x minus 4. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8x. Negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. So then we have 2x squared minus 8x minus 3x plus 12. Combine the middle term, so you have 2x squared minus 11x plus 12. All right, go and finish up the other warm-up questions. All right, let's take a look at the next page. All right, getting started. Grassroots. You know how to use the properties of equality to solve equations in the form shown. Y equals x squared plus d. Y equals parentheses x minus c squared. Y equals a parentheses x minus c squared. Y equals a parentheses x minus c squared plus d. Use properties of equality to solve each equation. State the property used in each step of your solution. All right, let's take a look. So here we're going to add 9 to both sides. So then that's 36 equals x squared. Now we're going to, let me try to rewrite that. So it's a little hard to read. So 36 equals x squared. Okay. Now we're going to take the square root of both sides, plus or minus. Now the square root cancels the squared, so you're left with x equals plus or minus 6. So x equals positive 6 and x equals negative 6. All right, let's take a look at B. Now, the square, it's isolated, so now all we have to do is take the square root of both sides. Remember, square root's plus or minus. Okay, the square root cancels the squared, so you're left with, it's hard, let me try to cram that plus or minus in there, but that's plus or minus. So then that's x plus 3 equals plus or minus 11. So x plus 3 equals positive 11. X plus 3 equals negative 11. So subtract 3 from both sides. X equals 8. Subtract 3 from both sides. X equals negative 14. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So here we need to isolate the squared first. So we're going to divide 3 by both sides. 48 divided by 3 is 16 equals, that's 1. X minus 1 squared. We're going to take the square root of both sides. Now remember, square root's plus or minus. Now the square root cancels the squared. The square of 16 is plus or minus 4 equals x minus 1. So 4 equals x minus 1, and negative 4 equals x minus 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. 5 equals x Add 1 to both sides. Negative 3 equals x. All right, go ahead and finish that up, and let's take a look at D. Now, here, we need to get rid of the fraction. So the first thing we need to do is multiply everything by 2. So 2 times 1/2 is 2 divided by 2, parentheses x plus 5, squared, minus 2 times 18 is 36, and 2 times 0 is 0. Now, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then we can add 36 to both sides. So we get x plus 5 squared equals 36. We're going to take the square root of both sides. Remember, it's plus or minus. Okay, the square root cancels the squared. You're left with x plus 5 equals plus or minus 6. So x plus 5 equals positive 6. X plus 5 equals negative 6. Subtract 5 from both sides. X equals 1. Subtract 5 from both sides. X equals negative 11. Finish that up. Let's take a look at the next page. All right. Activity 5.1, solving quadratic equations by factoring. Let's consider strategies to solve quadratics in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, using the factoring strategies you have learned. All right, you're welcome to read the worked example, and then we are going to mark out those, and let's move on to the next page. All right, use factoring to solve each quadratic equation if possible. So x squared, 2 parentheses. Now to get x squared, x and x. Now we need to figure out what numbers multiply to give you a positive 12 combined to be negative 8. Since the last number is positive, the middle number is negative, both numbers have to be negative. So negative 1 times negative 12 equals positive 12. Negative 1 minus 12 equals negative 13. That doesn't work. Okay, now let's try negative 2 times negative 6 equals positive 12. Negative 2 minus 6 equals negative 8. Well, we have our 12 and negative 8, so our factors are x minus 2, x minus 6 equal to 0. So we set x minus 2 equal to 0, x minus 6 equal to 0. We add 2 to both sides. X equals 2. Hold on, let's... So there's no... There you go. And then we're going to add 6 to both sides. And so x equals 6. Okay? All right, let's take a look at B. Now, B, the first thing we need to do is add 7 to both sides. Okay? So then that cancels. So then you're left with x squared plus 8x plus 7 equal to 0. Now, 2 parentheses equal to 0. X and x makes x squared. Now, we need to figure out what numbers multiply to give you 7, combined to be 8. So 1 times 7 is 7. 1 plus 7 is 8. So our factors are x plus 1, x plus 7. So you set them both equal to 0. So x equals negative 1, x equals negative 7. All right, let's take a look at the next. So here, we need to get rid of the fraction. So we're going to multiply everything by 6. Okay? So 6 times, that's, some writing out there. So 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 3, x squared, minus 6 times 5 is 30, divided by 6, x equals 0. Well, 12 divided by 3 is 4x squared, minus 30 divided by 6 is minus 5x equal to 0. So then we can actually factor out an x from both, which leaves x times 4x minus 5 equal to 0. So x equals 0 and 4x minus 5 equal to 0. So there's one of our x values. Now we add 5 to both sides. You get 4x equals 5. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 5 divided by 4. All right, go ahead and finish that up. Now, let's take a look at D. So 2 parentheses, go 0, x and x. Now, we need to figure out what numbers multiplied to give you 12 combined to be 10. Okay, so 1 times 12 is 12. 1 plus 12 is 13. That doesn't work. Okay, now we try 2 times 6 is 12. 2 plus 6 is 8. That doesn't work. Now we do 3 times 4 is 12. 3 plus 4 is 7. That doesn't work. And then we have 4 times 3 equals 12. 4 plus 3 equals 7. We've gone through all the combinations, and none of them will give you 12 and 10. So this is not factorable. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next question. And we're going to move that down here. Okay, so we have 4x squared minus 25 equal to 0. So we add 25 to both sides. That cancels. You get 4x squared equals 25. Divide both sides by 4. That 5 becomes 1. You get x squared equals 25 divided by 4. Take the square root of both sides. Remember, plus or minus. So that cancels. X equals plus or minus. The square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 4 is 2. 5 divided by 4. Now, you can write it that way, or you can write x equals, you write it x equals 5 divided by 4, and x equals negative 5 divided by 4. Either way is acceptable. Okay, go ahead and finish it up. All right, let's take a look at the next page. All right, activity 5.2, completing the square to determine square roots. You can use completing the square method to determine the roots of a quadratic equation that cannot be factored. Okay, so you're welcome to read the worked example. And then we're going to move on to the next page. All right, complete the square. So the first thing you need to do is subtract the 4 from both sides. So now we have x squared minus 6x equals negative 4. Now, to complete the square, we add negative 6 divided by 2 squared. But if you add something to one side, you also have to add it to the other side because of equality. Okay? So you have x squared minus 6x plus negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9 equals negative 4 plus 9. Bring our work up here because we've run out of space. Now, this can be factored as x minus 3 equals negative 4 plus 9 is 5. And we got the negative 3 from here, negative 6 divided by 2. So then this becomes x minus 3 squared equals 5. We're going to take the square root of both sides. Remember, square root's plus or minus. Cancel to get x minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 5. Add 3 to both sides. X equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. Kind of separate this. Okay. Now let's take a look at the second one. So again, we need to subtract 6 from both sides. So then you have x squared minus 12x equals negative 6. Now to complete the square, we're going to add negative 12 divided by 2 squared to both sides. So then you get x squared minus 12x plus negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 6. Negative squared is 36 equals negative 6 plus 36. Well, this factors to become x minus 6. X minus 6 equals 30. So then that's x minus 6 squared equals 30. Take the square root of both sides. That cancels. You get x minus 6 equals plus or minus the square root of 30. Add 6 to both sides. X equals 6 plus or minus the square root of 30. All right, go ahead and finish that up. Let's take a look at the last question. Ball thrown straight up from 4 feet above the ground with a velocity of 32 feet per second. The height of the ball over time can be modeled with the function h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 32t plus 4. What is the maximum height of the ball? Now, this isn't a quadratic formula question because height refers to the graph. So we're just going to go ahead and graph that. So we're going to go to Desmos. And then we're going to type in negative 16x squared plus 32x plus 4. And then zoom out. Ta-da. The maximum height is 20. So the maximum height of the ball is 20 feet. All right. Go ahead and finish that up. Mark out 3. And have a wonderful Wildcat day.